We're nearly through with 2024. There have been some pretty entertaining movies released. As per usual, A24 has distributed a few highlights like the exhilarating actioner Civil War and the prison drama Sing Sing. Among the studio's most anticipated releases was MaXXXine, the latest installment in the horror franchise led by director Ty West and lead actor Mia Goth. The first movie, X, was a fun little slasher flick with some creatively creepy villains. Pearl, the middle chapter, and my favorite of the trilogy, told a disturbing tale of a desperate woman who yearns for fame and is ultimately revealed to be capable of unconscionable violence. MaXXXine was released this summer and unfortunately feels like diminishing returns for this series. It follows MaXXXine, played by Goth, as she tries to make it big in Hollywood during the 80s but finds herself haunted by a violent past. To clarify, Pearl was a prequel to X, and now MaXXXine is a direct sequel to X, so it feels a bit disconnected from Pearl. Correspondingly, I think the character MaXXXine is the less compelling of the true roles that Goth portrays. The cast is quite stacked with additions like Kevin Bacon, Giancarlo Esposito, Elizabeth Debicki, and Halsey, to name a few. The plot is also significantly busier this time around, with multiple film sets, police investigations, and religious zealots. I think the small scale of X and Pearl worked in their favor, while MaXXXine feels more inconsequential and muddled by comparison. A sequel going bigger isn't necessarily a bad thing. Some of the greatest horror sequels like Aliens and Evil Dead 2 benefited from upping the ante in terms of spectacle. With MaXXXine, however, the story is so generic by the time we reach the climax that it's difficult to get that invested. Even the needle drops were a little uninspired with the inclusion of rather familiar tracks like Betty Davis Eyes and St. Elmo's Fire.
Can't take this anymore. Let's switch back.
Overall, I found the film lacking in scares and laughs, which isn't great for an exploitation type project. Plus, recently A24 has had both a better thriller with Heretic and a more memorable 80s period piece with Love Lies Bleeding. If you're already a fan of the franchise and you're still curious about this one, you might like it. Some folks enjoyed it more than I did. Otherwise, I think it's safe to skip.